Okay, hello, Simon Wilkins. Thank you for joining me here on the For the Property Investor podcast.
Pleasure, and thank you for having me.
Yes, and this is part of our expert series interviews on the podcast, and we also have the weekly news segment with Nick Bendel that comes out every Monday morning. So if you haven't seen that one yet, please check it out. But Simon, it's good to have you on today, and you're a buyer's agent.
Correct. Yes.
Yes, and you've actually been working with us for about a bit over 12 months now. But tell us a bit about your story about how you got started as a buyer's agent.
Okay, that starts probably back when I was about 5 or 6 years old, and it sounds funny because obviously I didn't want to be a buyer's agent at 5 or 6 years old, but I loved property, and I actually always have loved property, and I actually studied architecture at university in the UK. Long story short, ended up coming to Australia with the then girlfriend at the time, and got into working for charities. While I was doing that, wanted to buy my very first investment property. Well, actually, I wanted to buy an owner-occupier first, but I couldn't get the borrowing capacity to get an owner-occupier where I wanted to live. Sorry for quite a few of my clients, actually. And so got referred to a broker, and then I got referred to a lady who worked for an investment company, and it was their own company.
Okay.
And I ended up buying my very first investment property. I think that was 11 years ago, something like that. And kept in contact with her for a few years. And then about 2 years after that, after buying my first property, she kind of said, "Do you want to come and work for me?" And I, as I said, always had a passion for property. So I took a $100,000 pay cut and went.
Wow.
I went from working in charity, managing a team of 6 and on a good income to going on a very low income and commission based only. That was interesting. So I worked for that company for a couple of years.
Is that when that girlfriend sort of became no more, or?
Yeah, when did the girlfriend? No, that was prior. The girlfriend came no more about a year or 2 into me being here, and then I met my wife, who's Australian, which is why I was allowed.
Right. Okay.
Then started Inspired Property Group and been running that now for literally, we just clicked over our 5-year anniversary in January.
Congratulations.
So I've now been working as a buyer's agent for 7 years now, and I've got a team of 4 at the moment in the business as well. So it's just gone from strength to strength to strength. And I love what I do. Love what I do.
And 7 years as a buyer's agent is actually a long time in this industry, or profession, I should say. So you really sort of started at the beginning of this rise of the buyer's agent that happened about 7-8 years ago. So tell me more about what has changed over that period of time, and like what differences do you see now compared to 7 years ago?
Yeah, well, okay. So I think the major thing that's changed, and I was talking about this yesterday, is suddenly everyone thinks they can be a buyer's agent. And I'm not saying there's not good buyer's agents out there. Please don't take that the wrong way. But you just see all the stupid adverts going, become a buyer's agent in your spare time. You can make this much money and you don't need any experience and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And I'm like, I've got new staff who are working with me, and I'm giving them the knowledge and expertise that I developed over the last 7 years. And, some of them have been working with me for 6 months, and they're still not up to the same level of knowledge and expertise that I've developed over 7 years of doing this, right? So can you go and buy someone a property and only been in this industry for a month? Yeah, you could. Absolutely, you could. I mean, it's easy. Someone comes to you and says, hey, I've got $500,000. I want an investment property. Anyone can jump on realestate.com and go find a $500,000 property and go, hey, here you go. This looks really great, right? But the interesting thing, having been in the industry now. So firstly is I'm a licensee. So I have my own real estate license and I can employ others to work underneath me. Most buyer's agents, from what I understand, only have certificates because you can't get a licensee certificate as a real estate agent now unless you've done, I think it's like 2
years. Yeah.
2 years under a licensed real estate agent. Most of
And,
these
and
buyers
that's in New South Wales at least, yeah.
That's in New South Wales. So most of these buyers agents aren't working under, as far as I know, working under a licensee, right? But I think the two biggest things that I would say is the difference of being in this industry for a while versus one is I've got longevity with clients. I've got clients who have been with me 7 years and we've built portfolios for them. And it's not like they've bought a property today and they're really happy and they write a great review and go, oh, it was amazing, because, well, what's that property going to perform like over time? So, I've got clients who've made $600,000 or $700,000 over the last, 4 years, 5 years. I mean, I've got one client through all the purchases we've done for him. I think he's almost made $2 million worth of equity so far in the last 6 years. So, I've got clients that have been with me for a long time now and come back for property number 2, number 3, number 4. The other big thing, and I say this a lot of the time to clients, is, you can go and look for your own property and you might spend 3 months looking at a market or 4 months looking at a market. I spent 7 years looking at markets. And what's interesting is I'm putting investors into areas that I wouldn't have done 3 years ago. I've changed from from Queensland to New South Wales to Melbourne to New South Wales back to Queensland. So I've altered the strategies as things have changed over the years and moved my clients around based on the movements in the market, not necessarily just, oh, I can get you a property for that price in that particular area. So I think, for me, definitely the longevity gives you a very good oversight of changes in markets versus looking at it right now today. And
what about the differences between now and when you started in terms of the reaction from potential clients of whether they know what a buyer's agent is, and also what about reaction from sales agents when you're talking to them as a buyer's agent? The difference between now and 7 years ago.
Yeah, so I think we transitioned the business to a buyer's agent model probably 3 or 4 years ago. Prior to that, we were doing a lot of new development, but obviously prices went up, land was scarce, so we went into the buyer's agent side of things. What's interesting is, in America, everyone has what I think they're called a buyer's advocate over there, right? But it's becoming, I think this is why the rise of buyer's agents is becoming more and more common, because I think a lot, I would, if I was going to go and buy for myself personally, maybe, I know real estate, right? But if I was going to go and buy a $2.5 million property on the North Shore, I'd actually probably engage a buyer's agent to go do that for me because I don't know the North Shore and what's there and what's available. And I think more and more people are looking at buyer's agents and going, well, they have the knowledge, they have the expertise, they know the areas, I can rely on their research. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to go and spend $500,000 or more on an investment property, why wouldn't you get all the knowledge and expertise that you need to help guide you through that? Because if you buy the wrong property, like some people did when they went and bought in mining towns, that can be horrific. And the 10 or 15 grand that you might have paid to a buyer's agent, or 20 grand, to make sure you're buying in a good area, it's going to return tenfold versus going and buying somewhere that you just don't know about, and then suddenly prices have dropped by 30%.
So but the reaction from sales agents when you're contacting them?
So sales agents actually love working with buyers agents. They actually really love, well, at least the guys I talk to love it, right? Because at the end of the day,
Maybe they just love you, Simon. Yeah.
Maybe they just love me. I don't know, right? I'm pretty straight shooter. I don't muck around really. But I think, if you're a selling agent, the one thing you want to see, other than getting the right price for your client, is the deal progressing and going through. There's nothing worse for a sales agent than getting a deal and then it fall over because the person can't get finance, or they've changed their mind, or something's happened, or blah, 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 right? Because it looks bad for the sales agent. So, I deal with sales agents a lot. In fact, I get a lot of off-market opportunities sent through to me by sales agents because they actually want to work with buyers agents.
Yeah, well, and this is interesting. What's happening with is this where you think the market is going, where buyers agents are going to control the buyer inquiry? And
could be.
Yeah, it's because at the moment we've got fairly much a it's not quite a monopoly, but in some areas it is, with realestate.com.au and then Domain sort of controlling all buyer inquiry. They've dominated for years, over a decade, if not more. So so that's very interesting, Simon. In terms of what you're experiencing with dealing with these sales agents, and you mentioned a few states of where you have bought for clients in the past. Tell me about the types of properties that you're buying at the moment across the country, and or in different parts of the country, and why.
Yeah, so as I was saying previously, with interest rates being so high, we're generally looking for high yielding properties for our clients at the moment.
Yeah.
So just to offset some of that holding cost at the moment. So, whether it's a single home with a really good rental yield. So I did one the other day for $340, getting $320 a week in rent. And this was like a 5-year-old, one side of a 5-year-old standalone 2-bedroom home. So something like that, brilliant. Or we're looking at like duals and duplexes. So we just purchased one for a client recently for $700,000, 2 standalone 3-bedroom homes on a one site, and that's getting $920 a week in rent. So
wow,
those sorts of numbers, really good. Doesn't cost anything to hold. In fact, slightly positive. But obviously, when interest rates drop in the next couple of years, those properties will be generating really nice cash flow for my clients.
Okay, cool. And yes, and as your partner in property management, business partner in property management through our business, Leafield, we're seeing these properties that you're referring into us, and seeing the returns that are coming through. It's just like, wow, this is great. This is they really perform well. So yes, you've been working with us for a bit over 12 months ago, but it's really the sort of last sort of 9 months that you've really picked up steam with the amount of volume starting to come through to us now. What's been your experience with property management in the past, and what do you see as the difference between the past and the experience you have now?
Yeah, cool. Well, as you may know, right? So running a real estate agency, a buyer's agent, or a real estate agent, it's very hard to value a business based on just the commissions that the business generates, right? Because they're goodwill. So the value is always in the property management list, always is. And so I've been wanting to do property management for a long time, but not wanting to have to do all the other stuff that comes with property management, like the trust accounts and all that, and dealing with people. I don't want to do that, right? So in the past, what I've done is I've had agreements with particular property managers in particular areas where I refer a client, they'll give me a little bit of a upfront commission for referring them, which is great. and then they go and manage the client, and that's it. So, but for me, I was always like, the real value is in owning the list, and I was looking at maybe buying my own list, but then if I bought it, then I'd have to put all the processes in place, then I'd have to and with what I do for my work as well, and the way I work as a buyer's agent, I've got clients dotted all over the place with properties. So it's not like I've got 50 properties in one location. I might have 10 there, and then 7 in another suburb, and 20 in Queensland, and wherever they're, 20 in that suburb, 20 in this suburb, some in Queensland, some in. So I've got them all over the place. So I was always like, well, I have to just buy a list. And then I got introduced to you through a good friend of ours. And you were like, so we manage everything. You also get a little bit of a commission, but you own the list. And I'm like, so I own the list, and you look after all my clients and do all that. And it's like, yes. And I'm like, okay, just sign me up. Like, where do I sign up for that? Now, obviously, I did a little bit more due diligence than just give you the dotted line, right? But having gone through the way you work, your systems, your processes,
yeah. More importantly, what's the sort of the customer service like being, in compared to other agencies that you've dealt with?
Yeah, it's been great. Like, obviously I can pick up the phone and call yourself or Barbara in the office whenever I want to. The clients are happy. They're obviously getting good communication from you as well. And the nice other thing about it as well is that it's like I'm still looking after the client even after I've sold the property, because I still do that, and I still do review meetings every year and how they're tracking. But I also know that I'm kind of invested in their property management side of things as well, which is really nice. And so they've been great. And then if they're and issues do happen, and if they have had any issues, sometimes they might give me a call first before you, and it's like, great, all right, I'll give Owen or Barbara a call and let them know, and let's see how we can work together to resolve that. Like we had a fence blown down just recently in the cyclone in Townsville that wasn't really a cyclone. Well, it was, but it wasn't as bad as what the media said. So, being able to just workshop and have a property manager that I can work with is great.
Okay. And you touched on on the monetary benefit of working with us. In the short period of time, you've referred in quite a few properties, but it's still only a short period of time. You were telling me the other day that you sort of calculated what it would be worth now as an asset. Do you mind sharing that?
Yeah, no. So I think so far we're up to almost 30 property management, something like that. But I was just crunching some really basic numbers, and I'm like, that's probably worth $100,000 to $130,000 list, something like that, right? And I'm like, that's brilliant. That's a sellable asset for my business. And so now I'm like, okay, next stop is 100 properties under management. Because that's now 350, 400 grand, and then we'll just keep building up from there. But what's good for me to know is now I've got an asset for my business that is of value, not just my brand name and recognition in the market and my commissions. It's actually more than that.
Great. Okay. Well, I'm glad you're happy.
yeah, really happy. Well, I refer every client through to you guys. Every client gets referred through. And the other thing I do like is I refer my clients through to you. A few of them, most just trust me and go, yeah, we'll go. But a lot of them, they still go to market. They still go and shop around. Obviously, the properties we sell are already under another management usually anyway. And they'll send through all their details and all their fee structure and everything like that. And you guys, 99.9% of times, trump the property manager with a better fee, better service, better management, and the clients are like, yeah, okay, I'll go with those guys because it all looks really good,
Yeah, we try, and it's always the intention to keep everyone happy. Although you can't keep everyone happy 100% of the time. So
of course.
it is property management. So things do happen.
Yes.
But no, I'm really glad it's going well for you, and hoping this is going to be a business lifelong business relationship.
100% it will be. And as you know, between me and you, we're also talking about buying a property management list as well and bringing it over to you guys too. So, who knows what the
Yeah,
future holds there.
and we're working well together with that, working hard to try and get a result with a rent roll purchase. So no, looking forward to that. Well, that's about it for today, Simon.
Cool.
Thank you for joining me here, and we'll no doubt be talking again soon. But thank you for being on the podcast for the first time, and I'm sure you might need to be back on at some stage in the future.
Cool, mate. No, I appreciate it. Thanks for inviting me on, and yeah, all good. Thanks, Owen.
All right.